with everything. I don't want to talk to nobody anymore. I don't want to make any new friends. I don't have any anyways. I don't have money to go anywhere. Can't go on vacation. I feel like, I know I'm not the only one mentally just exhausted right now, but I don't know how much more I can take.
On top of that, working almost every single day, getting no time off, getting treated not in a way I would prefer. I don't make enough money to survive. I make enough money to pay my bills and barely have anything left over.
Cost of living continues to rise. Wages are stagnant. This isn't rocket science. The blueprint to the American life and American dream 40, 50 years ago was sold much differently than it was now. Back in the day, wife, maybe a couple kids, house, car, one fucking job. Now, you can work a very prestigious corporate job and not even have anything left over.
The economy is no longer built on people growing wealth. It is now built on people just racking up as much debt as they possibly can.
The system is very broken. And now that the basic necessities and just things of life that normally should not be so freaking difficult to happen, such as buying a house, are extremely difficult. And even people with a dual income household with pretty decent jobs cannot afford it.
Our generation went to high school, went to college with the promise that if you go to school, get a great paying job, and then one day you'll be able to have your own home, have your own family. We were essentially sold a scheme that is no longer working, with jobs that are not covering all of our bills, so we're getting second jobs on the weekend when we're supposed to be relaxing, unwinding from our corporate job.
Forcing myself to do this week after week after week is just getting unbearable.
I am at work and working more than I am with my own two boys, my own family, and that breaks my fucking heart because I feel like I'm blinking and they're just growing up and I'm like not a part of it. I feel like I'm not a part of their lives.
We are not meant to just pay bills and die and work our asses off until we're old and we don't have the energy to enjoy our life.
I have to spend every moment of my life focused on how much money I can make. They've raised the retirement age and want us to work until the day that we die during a time where living costs are outrageous. I just want some quality of life.
None of us are okay. I feel like we're all in a darker place mentally than we've ever been. Things are not getting better. It feels like the end of times, and yet we're forced to go to our 9-to-5, shrug our shoulders, and pretend like it's all fine. It's not fine.
Are we ever going to be in a position again, making enough money to survive, chasing after the American dream, owning a house with the ability to afford health care? But should people have to work hard with 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to afford a place to live, leaving no time for rest or the ability to spend time with loved ones? Seems like our situation is bad and it only keeps getting worse.
And if you're feeling any kind of shame about your financial situation, if you are getting up, going to work every day, doing your best to put food on the table and put a roof over your family's head, then it's not your fault.
It's so frustrating when you work so hard and you're just stuck in the same.
For a mortgage loan yesterday, and what the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't upset me for us because we aren't the average American family. I work a very niche job in the oil field. I make a very good income. My wife is a nurse. She does very good for herself, and combined, we have a very comfortable living in our home. But for the average American, this is way fucking far out of reach. In our area, we live in East Texas, okay? A good home is gonna be at least $400,000, if not $450 to $500, okay? I try to explain this to my mom. She's telling me, oh, y'all just go get you a little $200,000 house. Mama, these $200,000 houses are fucking rundown shack. We're looking at the numbers, looking at our income, looking at our credit, and they have us at $450,000, 5% down, which is $22,000. Thank God we got a little bit of money saved. They have our mortgage after PMI, after insurance, after taxes at $4,636 a month. What the fuck are you talking about, okay? And the thing is, we could afford it. We actually could afford to spend that money on a mortgage every month. But a $5,000 mortgage? Who are y'all selling these fucking houses to? Because we are outliers, okay? Not everybody is fortunate to have the jobs that we have. What about the regular fucking families that bring in combined $100,000 a year? They will never qualify for this. What the fuck is like?
Listen, if you still want to come to America because you believe in the American dream, let me tell you something. That dream died like 30 plus years ago, and now we're living in a dream that involves paying $10 for a dozen of shitty fucking eggs, paying $2,000 a month for an apartment in the ghetto that's about 700 square feet and it has no walls. And then if you want to go to university here, you're looking at around $100,000 for a 4-year education. That's on the low end. But in those 4 years, you might get shot because everyone seems to want to shoot each other for some ungodly reason. Then you're going to graduate thinking, oh, I graduated, I have a degree now, I'm going to get a good job. Your good job is going to pay you about $40,000 starting off, maybe, and then they're going to say you're going to work 40 hours a week, when in reality you're going to be working about 50 plus hours a week because they're going to guilt trip you in by saying, we're a family, we're a team, we help each other. And they're not going to pay you overtime for that, because why would they? If they get your help for free, why would they pay you for that? Okay, then there's no work-life balance. That company you're working for now doesn't want to give you vacation days until like maybe your second year working there, and those vacation days are maybe 4 days out of the whole entire year. That includes holidays. All right, then if you're sick, too bad, you still have to come to work. Okay, then if you want to buy groceries, your groceries are going to be your whole entire paycheck because no one can afford to eat here anymore. Got it? I go to the grocery store for 4 things, it's like $50. I'm just saying it sucks living here. I don't want to live here. I want to leave. So maybe you should rethink your whole American dream, because it's not what it's all cracked up to be. Okay? Okay, love you. Bye.
So let me chime in on how people are making it right now in America with inflation at an all-time high. People that are making $35 an hour, $40 an hour are still broke. So you wonder, am I the only one feeling this? I know you guys are driving around in your city, seeing people still at the grocery stores, still in the fast food lines, still acting as everything is normal. But there's one thing that, if you haven't noticed, people are not using their money to survive right now. They're using credit cards. And if you look at America's credit card usage right now, it is at an all-time high. Most families are already maxed out. And I'm going to tell you one thing that's going to send everything into let's say a bad spot. They're not going to pay these credit cards back. They're spending knowing that they're not going to pay these credit cards back. And so now that these people's credit cards are maxed out and credit companies are no longer giving them money to survive and buy their food, because we don't have any help in our food. If you make money like I make money, you go to that grocery store, or your wife goes, because I haven't been in that grocery store in I don't know how long, but my wife goes to the grocery store. And if we don't spend $600 or $700 on a grocery trip, I'm surprised. But my situation is different. I have a lot of kids, but you wonder how people are making it out here, and they are not making it off their own money. Plus, let's put the other thing in perspective. You have the government saying that job numbers are through the roof. They have created so many jobs and people are taking these jobs. And that's not true. The fact of the matter is, people are taking on second jobs and third jobs just to put food on the table for their family. Mind you, in the richest country in the world, something's not right. If you are somebody out there surviving right now, taking care of your kids, and your money's going up, I salute you. But 99% of people right now, their pockets are suffering badly, to the point where the government even said that by the end of this month, most likely 99% of Americans will have run out of any savings. Wow. This is crazy.
My first job out of college, I made $30,000 a year. I knew it wasn't a lot, but I was really happy, and it was a salary, and I was able to live on it. I paid rent. I had one roommate. We lived in a 2-bedroom, and I got by. I'm very transparent about salary, so I make almost $140,000 a year now, and I can't imagine making less. I don't live fancy. I live very simply. I do not have kids. I have 2 pets, and I have enough to live my life, and just about enough. And before you come for me, I live in a very, very high cost of living area, and I'm not struggling by any means. I have enough to pay my bills, and I have enough to save, and I have enough to have fun. And for some people that might be like, oh, well, what are you complaining about? My God, that is so much money. I can't imagine having that amount of money. I know where you're coming from. Just 5 years ago, I couldn't imagine having this amount of money. But just 5 years ago, I couldn't imagine how much a grocery trip would cost. Today, it's literally like, I don't even think about it because it's like unbelievable, and it's really hard to think about it. And if I think about it, it's just too stressful. I know there are still 30,000 a year jobs. I know that's still a thing. And I do not know how people live in my state on a salary like that. And I'm not being like the poors. It's just like, that was me. That was me like a very short time ago. It wasn't even that long ago. And yeah, we're not in a good place, you guys. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that America is really, really like a third world country for a lot of people and in a lot of places. Like, truly, you guys. Like, and I come from a so-called third world nation, and we have free healthcare and excellent standard of healthcare as well. So yeah, I've grown really disillusioned with this whole place.
So I'm really sorry to be delivering more bad news. I really am. Every time this administration does something to distract the world, like the latest being this Tylenol joke, something else is happening they don't want us to know. And the research from Money Talk News, the economists from Money Talk News have just released their very dire economic data. So Doge laid off 287,000 people. Okay? American companies have already in 2025 announced 744,308 job layoffs. Okay? Just in the first half of 2025, these are the highest layoffs since the pandemic. Major sectors hit include retail, technology, media, and nonprofits. Overall, there's been a 220% jump in layoffs compared to this time last year. While the unemployment rate is at 4.2%, considered low, the number underneath that is disturbing, because 34%, a record-breaking 34% of those employed today are considered functionally unemployed, meaning they are working for poverty wages and SHIP benefits. Highest number in the history of the United States. So that unemployment number that the administration is boasting about, low employment numbers, don't let them gaslight you. And more bad news. They are expecting 480,000 more Americans to lose their jobs by the end of this year. And folks, there's only like 3.5 more months left.
People are broke, and now there's proof showing up in the numbers. Kellogg's reported an 8.6% drop in cereal sales. Crocs pulled its entire financial forecast. Heineken says people are drinking less. And even global giants like Nestle are seeing sales fall across the board. And what's scary about this, it's not about cutting luxuries. People are walking away from everyday items. Candy, snacks, fast food, takeout. Last Saturday, I went for lunch at a popular restaurant. Usually packed at noon, we expected a wait. Instead, we were just a handful of people there. Because consumers are cutting back hardest on items that bring joy. Chips, chocolate, going out to dinner. Not because they want to, because simply they don't have the fucking money. And companies know it. Forecasts are being pulled. Behind the scenes, they see the truth. Demand just isn't slowing. It's fucking collapsing. After 5 brutal years, Americans are barely hanging on. And now the administration slaps tariffs on top of it. It's like throwing gasoline on an already burning house. These families are one missed paycheck away from financial collapse. Americans aren't tightening belts anymore. They've run out of fucking notches.
If you care about your health, these tariffs are an awful, awful thing for the U.S. And I'll tell you, I live between Italy and I live between the U.S. And through that, I've learned how different the food is between Italy, Europe, and America. These are two Fantas. This over here, Italian. This over here, American. They are both the orange Fanta. What's the difference? This is the color orange. This one has 12% real orange juice. If they isolate the US even more than it is currently, we are not even going to have access to things like the Trader Joe's. This pasta is from Italy. There is one ingredient here. There are many different ingredients in the pasta that we get in the US. The stuff that we get that is imported has a few ingredients. All of the stuff in the US, if you look at chocolate or anything, the US food is crap. Here is coffee. This is the Italian version. Did you know that the coffee that is in the US, they're allowed to have more mold in it? The standards in the US are terrible. They allow a bunch of chemicals that they don't allow in Europe. And so we can do things like shop at Trader Joe's right now, get international food, and while it's a bit more expensive, it is not twice as much. And we know how much groceries are. So if we isolate ourselves, here's another example. This is Frutella. These are Italian gummies. Real fruit juice, real coloring, natural. I just saw an article that was saying Haribo manufactures in the US as well. But did you know that if you buy Haribo gummies in the US, it's made with crap ingredients, lots of fake ingredients, whereas if you were to buy the same Haribo in Germany made for the Germans, it's actually has natural ingredients. So if we create the US as an even more isolated island, we won't have even the opportunity to get food or even know that there's a difference. This is extremely dangerous. And the Kennedy RFK, that was the one hope that at least our food could improve. But this is going to make it so much worse. So if you care about having access to somewhat reasonable food that's higher quality, this is not a good sign, because already the food in Italy is so much better than in the US, and people don't even know the difference. This has something like 4 ingredients. In the US, we're so used to seeing like 40 ingredients. This is very bad news for our health and our eating. This is very bad news.
The cost of living crisis in America is real, and I completely understand why so many people feel inclined to create video content on a platform like TikTok, expressing their disdain for it. Everyone is hurting. Even if you're a high income earner, you're not alone. And it really is no wonder, just given how prices have gone up on just about everything from food to gas in this country. The average cost of a home is $420,000. Most people don't have the ability to afford that, especially with crippling debt, like in the form of student loans, and a myriad of different bills that people just can't seem to get out from underneath of. So it begs the question, what do we do? Where do we go from here? We can't even buy cheap food at McDonald's for $1 anymore. They completely nixed the dollar menu. And what dystopian future are we living in which we have to pay more than $1 for fake food at McDonald's that doesn't even taste any good? So it begs the question, what do we do? And I just can't help but feel like there really is no easy solution. Unfortunately, there are external factors constricting the economy that are out of our control. But what we can do, what we should feel inclined to do, is come together now more than ever before. Reason being is because if we're going to survive, if we're going to ensure our quality of life, we need each other now more than ever. We need some sense of solidarity, and that's something that's been lacking in this country for what seems like the longest time, just given the stark racial, cultural, and socioeconomic divides. And that could be attributed as a result of us having existed in this system that seeks to pit us against each other as competitors